All right, welcome to the series of final review videos. Okay, so this is just going to be the first video, and it is all about those composite functions that we learned about in Unit 1. Okay, so make sure we listen through this video. If we have questions, make sure we ask them before the final. Okay, but this is a good little review just in case we don't remember how to do this stuff. So, first things first, it's going to give me f of x. So it tells me it's 3x minus 2. And then it also gives me g of x squared plus 2. Okay? So before we dive into those composite functions, I just want to real quick talk about something we talked about in Algebra 1, maybe even earlier in like pre-algebra. Okay? If I gave you a question and I asked you, find f of, let's say, 2, what would you do there? Okay? Hopefully what's coming to your mind is I would plug this 2 in everywhere where there's an x in f. Because again, this says f of x. So if I look 3x minus 2, I'm just going to plug that 2 in just in that one place. Just like this. Okay, I'm plugging that 2 in for x. So then from there, I would then just solve that, right? Or simplify it, okay? So what is 3 times 2 minus 2? Well, we use our order of operations, okay? We know we've got to do 3 times 2 first, which is 6, minus 2 gives me 4. So my answer would be f of 2 equals 4, okay? Same thing for g, okay, or for any function for that matter. So let's say I gave you a question like this one. Find g of -3. What would you do? Write it down. Okay, so again, we're using g this time. So I'm just going to plug that -3 in everywhere where I see an x in g. So -3 squared plus 2. We know we got to do the exponent first. -3 squared is a positive 9 plus 2 gives me 11. Okay? Would this work now? Would this work if I give you something a little more difficult? Okay, so let's say, for instance, I asked you to find g of 3x. Instead of g of 3, g of 3x. Wouldn't it still be the same process? Aren't I still just plugging in everywhere where I see the letter x in g? Absolutely, okay? But this time I'm just plugging in something that just is a little more complicated than just a plain old number, okay? This time it's 3x. So in this scenario, what I would do is I would square this whole thing just like I squared the number originally, but I'm squaring this whole term. So 3x squared would be 3x times 3x, okay, which is 9x squared. 3 squared is 9, x squared is x squared, plus 2, okay? Then what? Well, are those like terms? No. So I would just be done at that point, okay? So I think what got us on the composite functions, what made it a little more confusing is that we jumped from plugging in those numbers to just plugging in the whole function, okay? And we forgot to just stop and talk about what happens whenever I do plug in a function, okay? So now we're ready to go ahead and talk about what a composite function looks like and how we do them. So here we go. We're still dealing with the same f and the same g. So write those down. F of x equals 3x minus 2, and g of x equals x squared plus 2. So still the exact same, okay? But this time, this looks a little bit scarier than what we just dealt with, okay? But if we remember, we talked about how there's a better notation to write these of functions in. Remember, the open dot means of, okay? So all this is asking is f of g. What is that, okay? And we talked about a better notation for how we could write this. And how we did that was we just left the letters in order, okay? The first letter, in this case f, comes first, and then the second letter goes inside parentheses. So in this case, g of x. G of x. So f of g can be written like this. This is the preferred way that we write a composite function. Okay, that's just something you've got to memorize, how to do that. Okay, so f of g, f comes first in this scenario, g's on the inside. Okay, so now this helps me to visualize a little better. Since it's written this way, okay, that doesn't give me as much of a headache as the other way, okay? Because now I can see that g of x is on the inside, just like when I plugged in f of 2, okay? Now I'm plugging in f of g of x, okay? But what is g of x? What is it? It's right here, okay? It gives it to me. So I'm just going to replace that. So now what I have, I still have f on the outside, but now what I have on the inside is this x squared plus 2. Okay, so I'm finding f of x squared plus 2. So I'm essentially just plugging in x squared plus 2 now to f. I'm done with g. Okay, I'm just plugging this in to f. And we see f right here. Okay, so how I'm doing that? I've got a 3 in f. I'm plugging x squared plus 2 in everywhere where I see the letter x. And then I'm keeping that minus 2 on the back. That's how we do this. That's how we do this. So then from there, I just simplify. Well, I know I got to distribute. This becomes 3x squared plus 6. Keep that minus 2. And now we just add our like terms. Well, 3x squared doesn't have any friends. And 6 minus 2 is just 4. So that's all I can do there. That's all I can do there. Okay? Then we get to this one. I want you to pause the video right here. I want you to put this in the better notation. Okay, so this time g comes first. F of x is on the inside. Okay, so we replace f of x with what it is. So if I go over here, let me erase some of this colors so that we don't get confused here. So if I go ahead and replace f of x with f of x, 3x minus 2, that's going to look like this. G of 3x minus 2. Because again, that's f of x. So now I'm dealing with g of 3x minus 2. Well, now I'm just dealing with g. I'm plugging 3x minus 2 into g. So how I do that? I plug it in everywhere where I see the letter x. So I'm going to go do that. 3x minus 2 squared, and then we keep that plus 2. So now again, I'm just solving this. I'm just simplifying that as far as I can. So we're going to go ahead and do that. 3x minus 2 squared. Just like we said 3x squared was 3x times 3x. Well, 3x minus 2 squared is 3x minus 2 times 3x minus 2 plus 2. From here, we know that if we have two sets of parentheses with two terms in each, we are foiling. So 3x times 3x gives me 9x squared. 3x times negative 2, negative 6x. Negative 2 times 3x is a negative 6x. Negative 2 times negative 2 is a plus 4. And then we keep our plus 2. And then from here, add our like terms. 9x squared by himself. Negative 6x and negative 6x are negative 12x. And then 4 plus 2 is 6. So that is all that I can do there. That is all that I can do there. Okay? Then we get into the ones that have numbers. These are actually easier, guys. They're easier, okay? Why? So let's look here. Same thing, f of g. So f comes first. G is on the inside, but instead of g of x this time, we have g of a number, g of 1. Okay? We talked about this at the very beginning of the video. We start with the inside. How would I find g of 1? That's really easy. That I just have to go plug in 1 to g. So g of 1 is just me plugging in 1 to g. So 1 squared plus 2. What is that? That's just 3, right? 1 squared is 1 plus 2 is 3. Perfect. So now this 3 is just replacing that inside. G of 1 equals 3. So now what I'm finding is I'm just finding f of 3. Because again, g of 1 is 3, so I just replace that. Well, again, that's really easy. We just talked about that. We just go plug in 3 to f. So 3 times 3 minus 2. 3 times 3 is 9, minus 2 is 7. So my final answer here, my final answer is just 7. Okay? So D is going to be doing the exact same thing we just did on C, except for this time it's G of F of -1. Okay? I want you to pause the video here. I want you to go try this one. Okay. Hopefully what we did is we put it in that better notation. On the inside here, I've got F of -1. Okay? We know how to find that. Let's go do it. F of -1, we just plug -1 into F. So that is 3 times -1 minus 2. Simplify that. What is -3 minus 2? -5. Okay, so now F of -1 is -5. I'm putting that here. So now all I got to do is find G of -5. Perfect. That's easy. Okay, go up to G. It's x squared plus 2. So -5 squared plus 2. What is -5 squared? 25 plus 2 is 27. Okay, so again, this is a review from Unit 1. We have 3 review guides that we have access to before this final. So 3 times you can get this practice. I can even give you more problems if you need it, okay? But these are the problems that I need you practicing. We need to know how to do these. So if you have questions, let me know. Rewatch this video if you need to. Make sure we know how to do this stuff, guys. Thank you.